What's going on, everyone? So when the Lakers traded for D'Angelo Russell, it was super hype, and it was a steal type of trade. You know, you unload Russell Westbrook, a protected first-round pick, and you basically get D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley. I mean, Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt alone was like, oh, that was solid. And, you know, maybe we could get a Mike Conley. And then you find out, oh, no, you're getting a D'Angelo Russell, 26-year-old, scoring playmaker that can score at all three levels. Like, that's a no-brainer, absolute steal for the Lakers. And he has shown that. He has shown since coming over to the Lakers that he can be that guy, Mr. Ice in his veins, a guy that could just be that first, second, or third option on any given night, a guy that could go for 30 if you need him to, a guy that, could give you 20 and an 8 every single night. And he's done that. Lakers are 4-2 in the 6 games that he's played, even the Knicks game, right? Nobody really showed up that much compared to D'Angelo Russell. He gave you 33, 5, and 8, shot 13 of 19 and 6 of 11 from 3, and just his ability to go off and score, it's continued to look like a home run type of move for the Lakers. And on top of that, you have a guy that, the run-in joke of like D'Angelo Russell is the best point guard since D'Angelo Russell, right? He's really been just a key factor, and I believe will continue to be a factor the rest of the season. But the big question is, what about next season, right? What is going to happen? Now, the Lakers, they could sign him now, and if they did extend him, he could go for 2 years. If you wait till the offseason, which can be a risk, right? He's an unrestricted free agent, but if you go into the offseason, you could sign him for 4 years to really give him for the long haul. At 26 years old, you'd want to keep him as long as possible. He's young, he's talented, you'd imagine only going to continue to improve. And we keep getting reports, including one yesterday, that D'Angelo Russell wants to stay a Laker, that he wants to be the Lakers point guard of the future, which I'm all for it. I'm sure many of you are as well. But here's what Woj said. D'Angelo Russell very much wanted a second chance in LA with the Lakers, and you've seen the impact he made coming back against Toronto the other night, playing great in a win, and again tonight. He wants to be the point guard of the future for this organization. He'll be a free agent this summer. Again, D'Angelo Russell, it's a no-brainer. You keep him, right? You sign him, you extend him, a guy that could play either guard position. If, for whatever reason, later on down the road, another point guard wants to come, or, you draft a point guard or something, you can easily just move him to the 2 spot. He's got the size, but even just at the point guard position, he's a guy that can really change the tide of this Lakers team. And the Lakers really want to keep their core guys, right? If you want to make some tweaks or you want to make some moves in the future, in the offseason or whatever, that's fine. But guys like D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, to name a few, those are the guys that you want to kind of keep for the long haul. Of course, Anthony Davis and LeBron James, but that goes without saying. But outside of those two, you want to keep a D'Lo, a guy that can be the third guy, a guy that post LeBron can kind of take over the reins, and you can kind of build a team around him, and you got your point guard position locked up, which is a very valuable position, especially one like D'Lo that can score at all 3 levels. Again, a guy that could go get you 30 if you need him to, right? A guy that has led a Brooklyn Nets team to a playoffs, was an all-star, and he's putting up better numbers statistically than he did his all-star year. A guy that has matured and has grown over the years, right? It's kind of this full circle moment, and it just feels right? I mean, he's just out here screaming, like I never left, and it feels like, yeah, man, like, great, right into the swing of things. Again, his playmaking is just very valuable for this Lakers team. And playmaking in general is always very valuable, right? You don't ever want to lose that. And you have guys that are going to, come and go throughout the years. But D'Lo could be a fixture that you have for the next 7-8 years if you want to. Because, I mean, seriously, he's 26 years old. In 4 years, he would be 30. He's just getting into his prime, right? So you could have him another 4 years. And the beauty of D'Lo is he's not a guy that is so reliant on athleticism, right? He's more James Harden than he is Russell Westbrook, right? He's more of just slow, methodical, calculated, get a guy on my back and just kind of operate in that mid-range, knock down, pull up three. He could play off the ball if you need him to, get to the basket, score at will if you need him to, all of those things, right? So his game should age very well. Right, his shooting should only improve. His playmaking and vision and passing, that it should only improve. Like all the things that D'Lo is really good about should likely only improve, making him a better player. And he's a guy that right now could help lead us to an NBA championship. I'm not saying necessarily it has to be this year, but even next year, right? Like this is a year of evaluation, right, for the Lakers. And this is a year that they're looking, okay, what does this team make up? How does this team look? What do we need for the offseason to really kind of push our chips to the table and go all in? That's what the Lakers did this trade deadline. They pushed their chips and went all in. And they got that third guy that can also be that second guy going forward. I don't really think D'Lo is that number one guy, right? So like after LeBron, if you were to move AD and go a different direction, kind of start fresh, I still think you'd need that number one guy. But D'Lo, I think, could be one of the ultimate number two guys. Night in and night out, can go get you those buckets. A guy that can close games for you. A guy that can go and win. And that doesn't mean that he can't evolve into a number one guy. Still 26 years old. He's still very young. He still has 2-3 years before he gets into his prime. And again, he's only going to improve. He's only going to get better. Now he has LeBron James to take under his wing and really kind of just help grow and develop D'Lo and help him see things that maybe he doesn't see. Help him develop into a better point guard. That in and of itself, just the knowledge of being around LeBron James is huge in and of itself. That's worth its weight in gold. So D'Lo, you're seeing it. You're seeing D'Angelo Russell and the impact he's having on this Lakers team, that confidence, that playmaking ability, the ability to just night in and night out be consistent, right? Having that consistent scorer. Because outside of D'Angelo Russell, we don't have a guy that every night, night in and night out, even on a bad night, can still give you 15. Right, like Austin Reeves is great, right? And the things that he's been able to take those leaps and bounds in his second year, and he's only going to improve. But like his bad nights are like, 1 of 6, give you 2 points, right? It's just like, oh man, that was rough for like, a Troy Brown or Malik Beasley. It'll be 2 of 10 from 3. D'Angelo Russell is one of the few that, like, for him, he could still give you 12, 5, and 5 on a bad night, which, that's still a bad night, but that's not what most people's bad nights are. Like Anthony Davis, for example, right? Like so many people in that Knicks game were like, Anthony Davis had a horrible night. Yeah, he did. He didn't have the greatest night ever, shooting wise, but he still gave you, 17, 16, 4, 2, and 1. Like, he still stat the stat sheet, right? It's just, there's levels to this, is my point. My point is that D'Lo, his bad nights are as good as a role guy's good night. And so that just takes him and makes him that much more better, that much more consistent for a team that has a LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Even next year, you're going to have games where you're not going to have LeBron and AD. I mean, they're going to miss collectively 50 to 60 games. It's just going to happen. It's who Anthony Davis is at this stage in LeBron's career. That's how it's going to be. But D'Lo gives you a guy that can, on those nights, be that second guy. On a night where both of them sit, he can take over the reins and still give you a chance to win on any given night. That is really valuable. There's not very many teams that have that third guy, right? There's teams that have a third guy, but they don't have the third guy, right? Very few teams have a guy that can just go get you a win with the role guys, right? Not many teams have that. You could argue, I guess, maybe like, Phoenix, just to name a few off the top of my head, like maybe Phoenix, I don't really, Chris Paul is not who he once was, but still, he could have a night just with his playmaking and his abilities to where he could get the role guys going and kind of, give you that night of a spark. Milwaukee, how I would have to look at how many games have they won with just like a Drew Holiday or just a Chris Middleton and not anyone else, so could they win? But at least, they give him a chance. They give the Bucks a chance is the point, right? D'Lo gives you the same thing. Like D'Lo could be a guy that could go, if LeBron and AD sit, again, he could go and give you 38-8. And it's like, okay, yeah, and you could win some of those games that you wouldn't have won otherwise, right? It takes so much pressure off of just everybody, and it elevates everybody because of, again, his ability to play make and get guys involved. And he loves it. You see it. He's over here making these nice little pass stuff, but he also takes care of the basketball. He averages 2.5 assists or 2.5 turnovers per game. So he's not a high volume turnover guy, but he could still give you 8 assists a game, right? That is very valuable. A guy that, could give you basically a 3-for-1 assist to turnover rate or 2.5, assist to turnover rate. That's really good. That is high level playmaking. And, the argument is how elite is he? For me, the word elite, I keep personally for, top 3 to 5 guys, right? So I don't necessarily think I would put D'Lo in an elite category, but what is he? Top 10 at the worst? How many guys are that much better playmakers than D'Angelo Russell? And even if you could name some guys, it's got to be close, right? And the freedom that he has on this team, I think, is very valuable, right? With Minnesota, for example, he wasn't free, right? He was there, he was playing, he was kind of like that fourth guy in many ways. But when you look at the stats, when D'Lo had 20, when he had a Lakers level game, right, where he had 20 points and 8 assists, the Minnesota Timberwolves had an insane win rate. They won 82% of their games. When D'Lo had an impact on that roster, they won. But they never really utilized him. It was almost they never really wanted to let D'Lo run the show at times. It was oh, you got to do this or you got to do that. He's kind of the afterthought when it's give the ball, let him go to work and set other guys up. He enjoys setting other guys up, and you saw that with a team like Golden State. He was making nice plays. He was averaging 23 a game, right? Look at the Nets team. Right, he was averaging 22 a game and dishing out assists and helping and got an all-star game and, led the team to the playoffs. And that was not a great Nets team. I mean, it had some names on it, but it was a little clunky, a little awkward. A lot of those guys were young, Karis LeVert and stuff. It was, he started, that was when he was starting to kind of break out into a player. But in general, right, there's not very many guys that you can really put ahead of him. And when he's allowed to just be free and operate, you get these kind of results. And the Lakers have allowed him to be free and operate, and they're getting the results. He's delivering. He's showing hey, this is what I can do. I am capable on a nightly basis of giving you 20 points and 8 assists. That is very valuable. There are very few point guards in the league that can do that on a nightly basis. So, he was averaging 17 as a rookie, right? So it's not out of the realm of possibility to think now he can go get you 20, 25 a game. There are very few point guards that on a nightly basis can go do that and still give you the assists, right? There's point guards, yeah, they can go get you 20, 30, but they only get you 3 or 4 assists, right? D'Lo showed, even last night, right? Or the other night. Right? He gave you 33 points and he gave you 8 assists. 3-level scorer. This is our point guard of the future. Lakers need to make sure that they keep him around. And again, even if you go get a point guard at some point, right? Whoever, I'm just throwing a name out there. Don't freak out. But say a Ja Morant wants to come to the Lakers at some point when his contract's up. Again, just using him as an example. Not saying it's going to happen. But let's say you want to do something like that, right? You could just slot D'Lo at the 2, and it's fine. And you still have that second playmaker, that shooting guard, that guy that could play off the ball, the guy that could score at all 3 levels, that could still go get you 20 on any given night, right? It's very valuable. But anyway, again, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Yes, keep D'Lo at all costs. He's our point guard of the future. Worst case, he slides in and he becomes our shooting guard of the future. Whatever, but keep him, have him be that valuable asset. However you feel, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below.